training. You don't know what dying is till you die. And when you die, you don't even know you died. The day after the first shelling, I wake up alone. Evidence of the night before was on the concrete, asphalt, grass, and bricks falling from the buildings. It made a powerful statement and sent a message of the misery coming. It was terrifying to see all the blood stains on the asphalt. People were walking slowly. They would stop for a second or two to take it all in, then chat to each other. It was like everybody wanted life to go back to normal, like it had been the day before. That last night was just an episode, a misunderstanding. I knew it. It was no misunderstanding. I knew what the Yugoslav People Army was capable of doing. I knew that Serbs in the occupied villages were supported by the army. I knew that war was just waiting to happen. Still, there were people, particularly the older generations, who somehow believed that everything was going to be okay. After all, for years, everybody had been taught that the army was there to make everybody feel safe, secure, and protect our way of life. I went into the coffee shop where all the tough boys hung out with their murky, adventurous pasts. I had my coffee sitting with my boys. I had deep respect for many of them, as they were not A-grade students or those with successful parents. All the kids who I went to primary school with had decided that it was time to do something to defend and protect innocent people and our lifestyle. Eventually, I sat on a bus and traveled 14 stops to report to the general who had sent me out for smokes. "Mario, you arrived at the perfect time," he said. I just looked at him. I didn't understand. The bus for the Ministry of the Interior Special Forces Training Center is about to leave, and you are going to be on it. I wasn't sure about it, but he said, "Well, you have a choice. Stay here or join up. Aren't you Croatian?" I said, "Yes, of course I am." The Ministry of Interior was a Croatian government agency for security defense, and their training camp was a place called Kumrovec. Waiting for the bus, I was chatting to the other boys who were all around my age and quite similar to me. I noticed that nobody was married or had kids. Most had fallen foul of the police at some stage and had been arrested or put in prison. I couldn't care less. I saw people rushing to catch trains out of the city. People were fleeing, and this was just the beginning. The true exodus would happen in November. I noticed that the police uniforms were changing. New camouflage uniforms with Croatian insignia were slowly replacing the Yugoslav uniforms. Suddenly, my name was being called. "Mario, it is time." I was so afraid of what was coming. I drank coffee all day and took some whiskey to have with me on the bus. I didn't really understand why they chose us, but I knew it was because we were enthusiastic, adventurous, patriotic morons. They also knew we were afraid. The bus drove 6 hours into the Croatian countryside, where a training center has been established for the special forces. We started drinking the moment we got off the bus. Instructors were everywhere, calling our names, giving our uniforms and weapons. My drill instructor looked at me and said, "How old are you?" I told him I was almost 19. "Well, I would be in 3 months." He then said, "What's your weight?" I say, "Around 89 kilos. He replied, "Son, we're gonna give it to you something beautiful. Chuck Norris movies and Rambo, everyone has a heavy machine gun. They hold in one hand with the bullets in the other." I thought, I get something like that. I was wrong. I got a German MG42, which was very heavy machine gun. It shot 7.9mm bullets and fired 1,500 rounds per minute. That's a level of destruction that it's hard to describe. Then there is a deafening sound it makes. I got the machine gun and my uniform, and we started training the following day. We were more like a ragtag outfit with a different color uniforms. We had bulletproof vests, but I have no idea where they come from, possibly from the Vietnam War. Croatians who were living overseas had been flooding Croatia with military equipment. During the 7 days at the training center, we'll learn a lot. One thing nobody could teach us was how to control the fear. Nobody can tell you what to do when it comes to the worst moment in your life and you staring death in the face. Nobody can tell you how much you can endure as a human. There was only one reason for all this training, and that was to put us in action. As a Croatia didn't have an army yet. On one side there were the rebels and the Yugoslav People Army. On the other side there were us, the newly formed police force. Some military units were beginning to be formed, and then there were the special forces. We were to counterattack as the first and last line of defense. I wasn't afraid of dying because I didn't know what dying was. You don't know what dying is until you die. And when you die, you don't even know you died. Imagine how hypocritical this is. Every society that drafts soldiers put them through thorough medical looking for healthy human being, and you are proud that you are healthy and can serve the army. What you cannot avoid is the fact that in war people will die. All that health, all those years of mothers and fathers looking after you as a child means nothing. The moment you step onto the battlefield or into trenches, it is like you will die. In 7 days, you learn how to destroy the tank, how to make Molotov cocktail, how to use the knives, how to act at night, and how to create an ambush. It was a quick crash course. On the 7th day, we were told we're going back to our home city to pass the knowledge on to newly formed units. I didn't know I was going to be posted into units of people I knew from my suburb. Those people were heroes for me, as they had stayed at home. They didn't want to go. They wanted to defend and protect the country, just like I did. During my time at the Special Force Center, the news would become darker and darker. The Yugoslav People's Army Air Force bombing left, right and center across Croatia. The barracks were shooting everybody who went past, as they were mainly positioned opposite hospitals and schools. It made it difficult for many cities to function. There were so many atrocities as well being carried out. I don't want to talk about them. There were so many. The anger and rage inside of me kept growing. I couldn't understand why civilians should be targeted in every possible way. They were being overwhelmed by the Yugoslav People Army. The names of dead people aged from 0 to 100 were everywhere. On my 8th day, I returned to Osijek, a reporter for duty. The time for fight has come.